Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare.
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य वृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव सदी गौर भक्त वृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव सदी गौर भक्त वृंदा हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपीकांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदानेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये। बोलो श्री राधे गोलोकानंद भगवान की
जय।
हरे कृष्णा एवरीवन।
Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna.
तो कल अपन कैंटोस 2 का अध्याय 2 वी रेड द 21st श्लोक, राइट। इस श्लोक में जैसा कि अपन ने देखा, सुखदेव गोस्वामी जी परीक्षित महाराज को ये बता रहे हैं कि हाउ कैन अ योगी गो बैक टू गॉड हेड, like just staying in this physical body and then by way of samadhi, how can a yogi go back to godhead, right? So such a knowledge base in Srimad Bhagvatam, you don't find it anywhere else, right? See how the 7 openings, eyes, nostrils, ears and mouth, are closed, and then releases the life air, pran vayu, by puncturing the cerebral hole in the head. The yogi therefore breaks up all the above mentioned 7 openings so that the life air will naturally burst through the cerebral hole. This is the sure sign of a great devotee leaving the material connection, going back to Godhead. So we'll continue from there. ऐसे श्याम प्रभु जी पढ़ेंगे आप?
यदि प्रयास्यन निरपारमेष्ठ्यम् वह्यासनाम मुत यत विहारम अष्टाधिपत्यम गुण सन्निवाये सहैव गच्छन् सेन्द्रियश्च. However, O king, if a yogi maintains a desire for improved material enjoyments like transference to the topmost planet, Brahmalok, or the achievement of the eightfold perfection, travel in outer space with the Vaisa, or a situation in one of the millions of planets, then he has to take away with him the materially molded misery and senses. वो छुप गया दिख नहीं रहा.
Yeah, he has to take away with him the materially molded mind and senses. When he has to take away, when he still have some material enjoyments desired, right? Says Sahev Gacchen Manse Indriya Apeksha. Right? So either he can go back to Godhead, but if he has some material enjoyments in the desire, then he has to take the Suksham Sharir along with him, right? So actually, it's worth reading this first paragraph. We'll try to read very quickly. Shivam, just read these lines, please.
In the upper status of the planetary systems, there are facilities thousands and thousands of times greater for material enjoyments than in the lower planetary systems. The topmost planetary system consists of planets such as Brahmalok and Dhruvlok, the pole star, and all of them are situated beyond Maharlok. The inhabitants of these planets are empowered with eightfold achievements of mystic perfection. Hare Krishna.
Right? Astashuddhi. So what it's saying is, so the reason we are reading this is shows that the upper planetary systems, right? Like what are we thinking here about the material enjoyment, right? The material enjoyment is thousands and thousands times greater in the upper planetary systems, right? And in fact, it even describes and given the names like, anyone will have a power in those planets to be a small particle, which is called Anima Siddhi, or be a very lighter, right? Laghima Siddhi. So all this knowledge base is given, right? Like all these different siddhis are there, and they do not require any mechanical help to travel in the outer space. They can just move and travel at will from one planet to another planet at any point in time. Yeah. And so what it is saying is Soham there, Shivam?
No, he's not here.
Okay, you can read this, Shivam, one more time.
Okay. With the materialistic mind, one can reach the best planet in the universe, but no one can enter into the kingdom of God. Senses are called spiritually purified when they are not involved in sense gratification. Senses require engagements, and when the senses are engaged totally in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, they have no chance to become contaminated by material infections. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? So totally in transcendental service, then you don't get contaminated, no material desires, and you can go back to Godhead. Is what this is saying. Anilji?
जी योगेश्वराणां गतिमाहुरन्त बहिस्त्रिलोक्या पवनान्तरात्मा रात्मनाम न कर्मभिस्तां गतिमाप्नुवन्ति विद्यातपो योगसमाधिभाजाम्. The transcendentalists are concerned with the spiritual body. As such, by the strength of their devotional service, austerities, mystic power, and transcendental knowledge, their movements are unrestricted within and beyond the material worlds. The fruity workers or the gross materialists can never move in such an unrestricted manner. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? So it's describing this the materialists and the transcendentalists, right? The difference. And actually it's those purports are so important, and there's so much knowledge base in all these purports. We are trying to touch base, some places. Like here it says the transcendentalists who have nothing to do with the gross material body can move anywhere within or beyond the material worlds, right? So once they do self-realize, they have nothing to do with the material body, right? And then it says that within the material worlds, they move in the planetary system of Mahar, Janas, Tapas, and Satyalok, right? Like if you remember, we read those 14 different loks, planetary systems, and all these four loks are above Prithvi lok, right? Where you have Mahar lok, you have Devatas and all the gurus, right? Real gurus. And then, but what he's saying is then they can travel across all these loks up to the Satya lok, which is the Brahma lok. And then beyond the material worlds, they can move in the Vaikunthas in an unrestricted specimen. And Narad Muni is one such example, and then Durvasa Muni is another example of that, right? And that can happen by the strength of devotional service. Yeah. And it's saying, it's also said that Durvasa Muni traveled throughout the entirety of material space and part of a spiritual space within 1 year only. I think that will be the question in our quiz. So remember this, right? So within 1 year, who traveled through the whole of material space and the spiritual space? And that's Durvasa Muni, right? So that's the power of the self-realization. Tarun?
वैष्णववर्णं यति विहास्यसा गतः सुसुमनया ब्राह्मणापतेन सौसिका विद्युत काल्को दहरेर उद्यस्त प्रयति चक्रम नुप्रा सैसुमरणम. O king, when such a mystic passes over the Milky Way by the illuminating Sususmana to reach the highest planet, Brahmaloka. He goes first to Vashvarnara, the planet of the deity of fire, wherein he becomes completely cleansed of all contaminations, and thereafter he still goes higher to the circle of Shishumara to relate with Lord Hari, the personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And there's a deep knowledge in this, like how does a person travel, right? He first goes to Vaishvanara, right? The planet of deity of fire, gets completely cleansed, it's Agnidev, right? And then he goes higher when he's traveling through the Milky Way. And again, let's just, Shivam, just read this, please, again.
The polar star of the universe and the circle thereof is called Shishumara circle, and therein the local residential planet of the personality of Godhead, uh, Sh-
Right?
the Shai Vishnu is situated. Before reaching there, the mystic passes over there, the Milky Way, to reach Brahmalok. And while going there, he first reaches Veshvanarlok, where the demigod controls fire. On Veshvanarlok, the yogi becomes completely cleansed of all dirty sins acquired while in contact with the material world. The Milky Way in the sky is indicated herein as the way leading to Brahmalok, the highest planet of the universe. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, right? So if you really see, right, like how the spiritual science has been described, right? So it is not just an imagination, right? It's the actual names are given, right? The actual names of the loks are given. The actual method of how one can reach there is given, and the whole process is described here, right? Any comments, Rasikshan Prabhuji? Or आप म्यूट पे हैं प्रभु okay.
ये अभी कमेंट नहीं, आगे चलिए।
आगे okay. Yeah. रीना जी
तद विश्वनाभिं त्वतिवर्त्य विष्णु रणीयसा रणीयसा विरजेनात्मनैकः नमस्कृतं ब्रह्मविदामुपैते कल्पायुषो यद्विबुधा रमन्ते. This Sumara is the pivot of the turning of the complete universe, and it is called the navel of Vishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu. The yogi alone goes beyond this circle of Sishumara and attains the planet Maharlok, where purified saints like Bhrigu enjoy a duration of life of 43 million solar years. Yeah. This planet is worshipable even of saints who are transcendently situated.
Krishna, right? So this Maharlok is there's a Maharlok and then you have Brahmalok and all that, right? But it says that how, and it's also giving an example like Bhrigu Rishi, right? And once you're in that planet, the duration of life is not 100 years. It's it's in billions. Yeah. So if you want to live forever in billion years, you need to do tapasya and you need to be devotional in this human life to get to the upper loks. Sachin?
तथो अनन्तस्य मुखान्दलेन दन्दह्यमानं सन्निरीक्ष्य विश्वं निर्याति सिद्धेश्वरयुष्टधिषणं यद्द्वैपाराध्यं तदु parameshtham. At the time of the final devastation of the complete universe, that is the end of the duration of Brahma's life, a flame of fire emanates from the mouth of Ananta, which is from the bottom of the universe. The yogi sees all the planets of the universe burning to ashes, and thus he leaves for Satyaloka by airplanes, used by great purified souls. The duration of life in Satyalok is calculated to be 15 15,480 billion years.
Yeah,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I mean, so what this is saying really, so earlier, right, it described how someone can reach to Mahalok. And then Mahalok, after that 4.3 billion years, whatever, when this whole universe gets devastated, right, then what happens is that yogi moves to the higher planet, lives for Satyalok. And that duration of life in Satyalok, which is the Brahmalok, is almost 15 trillion or 59,480 billion years, whatever. Uh, now, how do we know, right? Like these are all like facts given in our Vedas for so many years, right? Says that the statements of Srimad Bhagvatam are accepted by great acharyas like Sridhar Swami, Ramanujucharya, and Vallabhacharya, right? They have been great acharyas. And Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically accepts Srimad Bhagavatam as the spotless Vedic authority, and as such, no sane man can ignore the statements of Srimad Bhagavatam when it is spoken by the self-realized soul, Srila Sukdev Goswami. And who is Srila Sukdev Goswami, who is writing all this? He follows in the footsteps of his great father, Srila Vyasdev, yeah, the compiler of all Vedic literatures. Yeah, and Srila Vyasdev, Narad, Dev Rishi Narad gave him the knowledge, who got it from Lord Brahma, who got it from Lord Sri Krishna himself, right? So the whole hierarchy and the whole devotional science has been so clearly explained. Yeah, that's why this is the authority, right? And therefore, the safe side is to accept the authentic version of Vedic literatures like Srimad Bhagavatam, which is accepted unanimously by the great acharyas. So we don't even have to use our mind, which is so limited in terms of wisdom or thinking or anything, right? All the great acharyas have described this in Srimad Bhagavatam with full depth. I mean, full depth, full names, full quantitative measures, full methodology, right? Like what else we need, right? We just need to understand this. Well, Ajay?
न यत्र शोको न जरा न मृत्यु नर्तीनि चोदेक्ष ऋते कुतिश्रित यच्चि ततोदः कृप निद्यविन्द्या दुःखन्तु स्वप्रभा In the planet of Satyalok, there is neither bereavement, nor old age, nor death. There is no pain of any kind, and therefore there are no anxieties, save that sometimes due to consciousness. There is a feeling of compassion for those unaware of the process of devotional service, who are subjected to unsurpassable miseries in the material world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, right? So, na yatra shoko na jara na mrityu. Neither bereavement, nor old age, nor death in Brahmalok. Yeah, there is no pain of any kind. Right? Only thing what they are saying is there is some compassion feeling for whom? For like the conditioned souls like us, because we are not aware of the devotional service process, which can get us free from this cycle. Yeah? And again, there is so much written here in the purport, right? When if you get a chance, definitely read through those. um, and it says, Shivam, just read those few lines, please.
Lord Krishna affirmed that the system of knowledge as explained in the Bhagavad Gita was explained to the sun god, and the knowledge descended from disciplic succession from the sun god to his son Manu, from Manu to King Ikshvaku, the forefather of Lord Ramachandra. And thus the system of knowledge was explained down the line of great sages, one after another. But in due course of time, the authorized succession was broken, and therefore, just to reestablish the true spirit of knowledge, the Lord again explained the same knowledge to Arjun, who was a bona who was a bona fide candidate for understanding due to his being of a pure devotee of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Right? So this tells us how the knowledge, how Lord Krishna had explained this to the sun god, and then how it, again, he appeared to explain to Arjun for the benefit of us, right? Essentially. And so what it says at the end of the day is all the bona fide acharyas preach this truth of returning home. No, that's why if we hear all these true sadhus, they preach us all this to go back to Godhead. And they warn us not to make a false plan for happiness in a place where happiness is only a myth, right? Very short term, very temporary. ततो विशेषं प्रतिपद्य निर्भय स्तेनात्मपुनापो अनलमूर्तिरत्वरन् ज्योतिर्मयो वायुमुपेत्य काले वाप्यवात्मनाखं बृहदात्मलिङ्गम्. So after reaching Satyalok, the devotee is specifically able to be incorporated fearlessly by the shuttle body in an identity similar to that of the gross body. And one after another, he gradually attains stages of existence from earthly to watery, fiery, glowing, and airy until he reaches the ethereal stage. Yeah. So, and again, there's a deep science in here, how the whole thing is, how the universes are cluttered up and down, and how the, whole thing has been created, and how this Sthul Sharir and the Suksham Sharir and then soul and the super soul, and then how it all gets merged in the spiritual body. Yeah. And that is the highest perfection of the devotional life, which is the Vaikunt planets. Ravi, can you read?
Yeah. घ्राणेण गन्धन् रसेन वै रस रूपं च दृष्ट्या स्वसन्त्वचैव श्रीत्रेण चोपेत्य नभो गुणत्व प्राणेन चाकुति मुपैति योगी. The devotee thus surpassed the subtle objects of different senses like aroma by smelling, the palate by tasting, vision by seeing forms, touch by contracting, the vibrations of the ear by the eternal identifications, and the sense organs by the material activities. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Right? So very deep. So I think we are going to pause here. We have 3 minutes. If suppose if you want to comment or anyone has any comments, and then we'll continue this tomorrow. Yeah.
कीर्तन सुनते टाइम अभी कम है.
अच्छा.
ठीक
है. I think tomorrow we'll keep some more time, Prabhuji. You need 5 minutes or?
Yeah.
Okay. तो कल 5 मिनट रखेंगे. कल 5 मिनट रख लेंगे. So then we can discuss this. because there's so much deep science in here, so much depth and so much knowledge. I think it's good to take a pause and understand it for a couple of minutes, right? And also, when you get a chance, do try to read the purport. At least, even if you read one or two, it will give immense knowledge on this. Okay, so we'll just hear the kirtan. We'll continue the prayers we have been hearing 2 more minutes, and then we'll see you tomorrow again at 9:20. Yeah.
हे प्रभु मुझे बता दो मैं हूँ पतित स्वामी तुम हो पतित पावन मैं हूँ पतित स्वामी तुम हो पतित पावन अवगुण भरा हृदय है अवगुण भरा हृदय है इसे कैसे मैं दिखाऊं हे प्रभु मुझे बता दो हे प्रभु मुझे